were sitting in the balcony and she started crying. I said, really, what happened? She said, you're leaving us. So I said, no, I'm not leaving you. I'm actually leaving films and we'll actually get more time to spend. She said, no. You're a child of cinema and if you're leaving films, you're leaving us. Trust me.
Can you imagine him sitting around and not doing any movies and doing nothing? In fact, his daughter told him, please, Papa, you can't spend all your time with us. We'll go crazy.
Kiran and Aamir, welcome to the Hollywood Reporter India.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I am so thrilled to be sitting here at Soho House, Mumbai with you. Congratulations on Laapataa Ladies being the official submission for Oscars 2025. Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think we don't speak about this enough. But the two of you are one of the most successful, influential, fertile collaborations in Indian cinema. Okay?
You feel that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, let's just think about it. So you meet, okay, Lagaan, 2001. You are assistant director, you are leading man and producer. Obviously, that's a classic, goes to the Oscars. There's also Dil Chahta Hai in the same year, in which you are leading man. You have this lovely little fleeting appearance, okay. Officially, you start 2008 with Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na. And then you create a slew of absolute gems, all right? This includes a cult classic, Delhi Belly. This includes Dangal, the highest grossing Indian film. It includes Peepli Live. It includes Sitaare Zameen Par, which is another Oscar submission from India. And of course now...
Dhobi
Ghat. And now Laapataa Ladies, which is yet again going to the Oscars. I mean, just think about this body of work that the two of you...
Not bad, Papi.
Yeah.
I want to know what's the secret sauce, because this is a collaboration that has survived divorce.
True.
How do you do it?
I mean, for me, a lot of patience. No, but it's been amazing working with him. He is a powerhouse.
See, actually, the thing is that, I mean, divorce is a separate topic. As creative people, we gel really well and we like each other's minds and we trust each other's minds. So I guess that's why we work well. Our sensibilities are similar.
Yeah. You know, I think, like he said, our aesthetics are pretty similar and there are lots of things that we like. But we also, when we disagree, we take the trouble to convince each other. Like, I'll go to him and be like, you know, give him very good reason why I feel the way I do. And I think both of us respect each other's opinions. I think that's one of the reasons that the partnership has lasted.
Yeah, and then divorce didn't affect our relationship, whether professionally or personally, because I think we felt it happens kind of organically. And so divorce is a word which implies that you're,
Cleaving,
you're moving away. We were moving away as husband and wife, but we were not moving away as human beings. So I don't think that also caused any problem. Yeah.
But when you say your sensibilities are similar, Kiran, the last time you and I talked, we talked about actually how they are not, right? Because your sensibilities are very highbrow.
थोड़ा इसको मुझे खींचना पड़ा यहाँ पे.
Exactly.
हाँ, when I gave her the script of Laapataa Ladies, I told her, I said, वो थोड़ा अपना आटी-वाटी मोड से थोड़ा भी निकलो यार.
This is a good point, a place to take off. You know, when we got the script, it was actually, Aamir said, look, there's potential here. And I was the one who said, I think it can be a full-fledged comedy. And then when we were ready to kind of...
Comedy to thi.
Yeah. No, well, the original script wasn't so funny, honestly. That it wasn't sort of... It was a satire, but the comic element needed enhancing. And I think at that point, when I was beginning to start writing with Sneha, I remember telling Aamir, like, how do you want me to do it? He said, we need this to be a nice, broad, mainstream film, right? Because it speaks to everyone. And I said, yes. So he said, I trust you. Just go and come when you have a draft. You know, I don't want to get involved with the writing. Just do what you want. And whenever you're satisfied, come back. Which I thought, so technically, I satisfied the
No, she
criteria.
totally satisfied. No, the other thing is that when I read the script of Laapataa Ladies, I really felt Kiran is the right director for it because though you would imagine she's come from Dhobi Ghat, can she do something like this? I felt that her strength lies in her honesty. And in People's Life, the situation was so bizarre and so, unusual and dramatic that you've come to the wrong house as a bride.
In Laapataa Ladies.
In Laapataa Ladies.
Huh.
So, the situation itself is so dramatic and it does provoke humor in many ways and all of that. And I felt that any director who's trying to push the humor and push that will go in the wrong way. I felt that she's someone who is quite honest towards her characters and the situation they're in.
I think that's where...
And that's inherently in the script. So I told her, you follow your instinct because I knew she'll be honest only. Thoda bahut humor push karegi, it will not go into the other side.
Yeah.
But the moment you get a director who's trying to push it,
She
then it
told
would have
me,
toppled.
She told me you knew that there was a commercial Kamina director inside of her.
Yeah, I always knew that. I always knew that she was just shy of coming out of it. She wanted that,
Owning
थोड़ा
it.
हाँ कि लोग मुझे बोले कि मैं बड़ी इंटेलेक्चुअल हूँ, चश्मा पहनती हूँ.
No, I think...
तो ऐसे वो सब में निकलो यार. Connect with people.
Yeah. And she did.
And make your own films.
Yeah.
But there's no point connecting with fewer people. You want to connect
Yeah.
with more people.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's where my sensibility comes in as well, because I feel there are many ways to connect with people, and just because it's a very, very broad, you do very broad strokes with everything, it doesn't necessarily mean it connects deeply. I feel this is a new kind of mainstream in that sense, Laapataa, because I think tonally it's very unusual. It's not a big, sort of slapstick ha thing, but it's still connected.
It's a crowd pleaser.
It's a crowd pleaser in
Yeah.
a different, and pitch-wise, it's not quite the same as every other comedy, right? We could have done that as well. The script actually allowed for you to do a proper out and out, mainstream movie, which it is.
It is.
But it's my own.
Yeah.
I feel like this is how I can do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I can also do lots of singing and dancing around national monuments, etc.
And why not?
In another life.
In another life. Speaking of singing and dancing, let's talk about the Oscars. So of course, Aamir, it's not your first time at the rodeo. It still is amazing to me that 23 years ago, you got enough people to watch a film, 3 hours, 44 minutes, cricket, song, dance, enough people to get into the top 5. It's a great film.
Yeah.
But the campaigning that you did, the way you got people to watch it, you got in there. I read these stories about how you went to LA and धीरे-धीरे लोग आए. पहले 2 लोग आए, then 6 लोग आए. And then the landscape has changed. There's dramatically more money needed to do it. This is like a political campaign, right? So what is the larger sort of strategy for the both of you?
Actually, it's not a political campaign. I don't know. People think that Oscar में जाके पता नहीं क्या कुछ politics करना पड़ता है, कुछ करना पड़ता है.
Not, I don't mean it
It's
in a
not
bad
that.
way. I mean it in the
in any way.
Scale of it.
The scale of it, exactly.
No, even in any
Yeah.
way. There is a committee. So the membership is around 8 to 10,000 now. It's gone up. At that time, it was 5,000.
Yeah.
I think. And essentially, for the foreign language category, and I think for documentary category, they have separate committees. So the entire membership doesn't get involved in the nomination levels for these two categories. So you have a separate committee of roughly 600, 700, 800 people, members who want to sign in and say that we would like to watch documentaries of foreign language. And we will commit to watching like 15, 20 of them before we can vote. You have to watch at least 80% of the films in your group before any vote of yours is counted. So the members have to dedicatedly give time to watch all these films. The best you can do is get the members to watch your film.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you can't do anything. In fact, in our times, you were not even allowed to go to the screening. Ashutosh and I were not allowed in any screening.
Yeah.
So our publicist would be there and you're not allowed to serve anything. You can only serve tea and coffee and cookies, biscuits. That's what it was allowed. So people watch the film and they go home and they give whatever marks they want to give it. So your main work really is getting the members in the foreign language committee to watch your film. Now, had their rule been that the members have to watch all the films in their group before they can vote, then you won't have to do this also. Because then you're sure that the member is going to watch your film.
Correct.
The problem that we had, the moment I got to know that the members can leave out 20% of the films. अगर मुझे 20 देखनी है, मैं 18 देख सकता हूँ, 2 मैं छोड़ दूँगा. I don't want the members to leave out my film. That was our task, to make sure that the members don't miss our film. And for that, we had additional screenings for the members where, as I said, we couldn't go. And in those screenings, as more and more members started watching the film, the word of mouth grew that this film don't miss. And then our official screening had a huge attendance, the one that the Academy organizes. I think about 180 people came to see the film out of a group of potentially 200. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So there's not much you can do actually.
And so the landscape is not much different.
No,
You're saying
it is much different. Today, actually, when you look at the number of course, the number of submissions are roughly the same, but we don't know who the committee of what was called Foreign Language International Film Voting Committee is. So unfortunately, the chances that you'll be in the number of films that they leave out is as high as probably it was then. But now what happens is that it's online. So everyone's films are online. So you're not relying only on screenings. But what you're relying on is that the buzz reaches the people who are sitting online to watch their film, members, to vote for you or to at least watch your film. And in order to do that is why you do the screenings for members at large, whether they're IFVC members or not. So unfortunately or fortunately, it's of course evened out in the sense all our films are available on the Academy screening room online. But in order to build that profile of your film that they don't miss it out, the surround sound has to be pretty loud. Back then, screenings were the only option, and then you relied on word of mouth to get people to come to your screenings. But now there's a plethora of things online that they can watch. They can leave out yours quite easily. So the campaigning takes takes a much bigger part of your budget. For instance, you would otherwise do you do screenings regardless of the fact that it's available online.
Because you have to create the buzz.
You have to create the buzz that don't miss this film. Because technically, out of the 15, like he said, or 20, you can leave out 3 or 4 or whatever.
So I think in India, people feel lobbying means you have to go and give gifts and so सब नहीं होता है.
वो तो allowed ही नहीं है.
हाँ, मतलब I'm just explaining what lobbying. But lobbying is a very vague word.
Correct.
It can mean anything.
Correct.
For example, this interview we're doing for Hollywood Reporter, some of the members might see this, they might be interested to watch the film.
Please watch Laapataa Ladies.
Yeah.
So, guys, when the selection was announced, right, there was also, of course, a lot of support. It's a film people have loved, but there was also criticism because a lot of people thought that Payal's film, All We Imagine Is Life, might have a better shot only because of what you said, that there is distribution. It is coming off a Grand Prix winning Cannes Festival, right? Did that in any way, I don't know, break your heart? Did it give you more of a resolve to work even harder to get to that 15 ka shortlist and eventually the 5? Or did you not care at all?
नहीं, मुझे तो फर्क ही नहीं पड़ा. In the sense that I'm sure it's a good film. I haven't seen it.
Of course, yeah.
And we are not selecting which film to go. It's not in our hands in any case.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised when we were chosen. I was delighted and really honored, and we had genuinely no hand in it. So we were really happy that we were chosen, and it must have been a difficult choice because there were such good films in the running. Payal's was one. Attam I'd heard really great things about. There were 29 films to choose from. So they probably had their reasons to choose us, and of course, in such a situation, we can only really be grateful to be the ones representing the country. And
I'm sure that's a good film. I've not seen it.
I have no doubt, and in fact, I feel really proud that there's Payal's anyway going to be at she'll be in the running for best film or all the other categories.
They're applying in the main categories.
Yeah. And it's a great moment, I think, for women from India.
It is It really is. I mean, I want to talk about your sort of journey a little bit. Okay, I was just thinking, you started as a leading man, 1988, Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. Over 36 years, your choices, I feel, have sort of shaped the narrative of Indian cinema. Okay, not just the films you've done, but the way you've done it, right? It's influenced a generation of actors. And then you said that after Lal Singh, you said, I'm going to quit. I don't want to make films anymore. And then that Kiran...
No, not after Lal Singh.
Then?
It was before Lal Singh.
You decided before?
Before Lal Singh.
Ki this is my swan song.
No, I didn't decide that this is my swan song. I just went through a personal journey. I was going through a personal moment of my own where during COVID, towards the end of COVID, I suddenly felt sitting alone and thinking, because all of us were sitting alone. It made me realize that I've spent the bulk of my adult life, starting from the age of 18 when I became an assistant, right up to now. All of my bandwidth, my focus has been cinema, films. And as a result, it made me realize that perhaps I've not been there enough for my relationships. My kids, my siblings, my family, whether it was Kiran when I was married to her, whether it was Reena when I was married to her. I felt that I have not been there for these people. This was midway during Lal Singh. Lal Singh, half the film was shot, half we couldn't shoot because COVID was on. Yeah. So in the middle of COVID, I went through this emotional moment where I felt I've given my whole life to this world of cinema. And I've not been there for my family. So at that time, I went, I felt a lot of guilt, you know. I didn't feel good about what I had done. So it was a kind of an emotional reaction of me saying that, and I've done enough films, 35 years I've done films. I can now focus on my family and my personal relationships. I thanked him, you know, I was very grateful that I realized this at the age of 56, 57. I'm 59 now, this was about 3 years ago. So, and I didn't realize it at 88 because then there's nothing you can do about it. At least now I can do something. So the thing I did was call my family and say, listen, I'm not going to be doing films anymore. I want to spend time with you guys. And I've done, films kafi ho gaya. And so that was my reaction. It was not out of any disappointment with cinema or some such thing. It was more an emotional feeling that I felt that and I'm quite an extreme person, you know. So when I was doing films, I was doing only films. And then as Junaid pointed out to me, because he and Ira convinced me not to quit actually. They were the people who convinced me not to quit. Because I had quit. My family knew I had quit. For about 6 months, I was going to Agatsu every day to office. I was not even going to AKP. And then when the time came for me to tell my potential directors who the next guy I was working with, which just happened to be Prasanna, the film I've just done, I had to call him and say, listen, I've quit. So you need another actor and I'm not even producing films. I'm shutting films out of my life. I'll only watch them now. So he kind of freaked out. But just before I met him, my kids sat me down. And Junaid said, listen, why do you have to go from one extreme to the other? You were doing only films and you felt you've not spent enough time with your family. Now you want to spend all the time with the family and do no films. You're swinging from here to here. There's somewhere in the middle also there is a space that you can be in. You can do films and you can be with us. And so they kind of explained that to me. And so then I came back. So no one knew I was quit because uska kuch practical result nahi aaya.
No one knew what you had
No one knew. It was just my own personal journey, which has now come out because, you know, of various interviews and all of that.
Kiran, what did you say to him when he said,
She started crying.
Yeah, I was.
She started crying. She said, she said to me, in fact, the whole 7-8 of us were there. Then everyone left. She said, I want to talk to you alone. So you came back down and we were sitting in the balcony. And she started crying. I said, really, what happened? She said, you're leaving us. So I said, no, I'm not leaving you. I'm actually leaving films and we'll actually get more time to spend. She said, no. you're a child of cinema, and if you're leaving films, you're leaving us. Trust me.
Can you imagine him sitting around and not doing any movies and doing nothing? In fact, his daughter told him, please, Papa, you can't spend all your time with us. We'll go crazy.
We can't handle it.
We can't handle it. So we basically convinced him, like, what would we do with him if he didn't do it?
अरे इतनी किताबें हैं पढ़ने के लिए यार.
She's rolling her eyes now.
Yeah, okay.
I would love a retired life. सुबह उठो, योगा वोगा करो, meditation करो, किताब पढ़ो. आप लोग काम पे जाओ ना यार.
But this whole thing of balance is something that, you know, like this moderation, balance that Junaid said, it doesn't. So
it doesn't
after
work
this,
with
he
me.
went straight into 6 films. Like किसने बोला था कि 0 से 6 करिए, आप एक करिए ना, एक के बाद एक करिए. He was like, चलिए एक और करके भी बोला.
नहीं ऐसी बात नहीं है.
You're like,
हर चीज का रीजन है.
or I'm doing 6.
नहीं 6 तो मैंने लाइफ में नहीं किया है यार.
This is 6 only.
हाँ 6.
Right now.
There's a reason for it. The reason really was that when I finally decided कि चलो अभी मैं फिल्में नहीं छोड़ रहा हूँ. I'm working in films. The next thought that came to me is that this is probably the last 10 years of my active working life because I'm.
Which is not true.
अरे यार
Clint Eastwood.
जिंदगी का कोई
Clint Eastwood.
देखो एक तो let me tell you
97, he just made his last.
यार तुम लोग एक extreme example दे रहे हो. He's one of the rare people who in his 90s is still thinking straight.
True.
So I'm saying that chances are that जिंदगी का कोई भरोसा नहीं. We might die tomorrow, yeah. So I'm saying roughly 10 years of active life. I'm 59 till I'm 70. I'll be able to hopefully be well enough to be productive. So then I thought that let me make my last 10 years the most productive.
Nice.
And more than that, as I'm getting older and I'm moving out, hopefully not now 10 years, but when I move out in these last 10 years, I want to support talent which I believe in. Writers, directors, actors, creative people, musicians, singers, people who I feel are really good are the people that I can become a platform for before I, retire at the age of 70, hopefully.
Well,
So that's why I was doing more films. And I also brought in Aparna. Aparna is now
which
head
I
of
have
AKP.
to say, I think is the hiring coup of the decade.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a hiring coup.
It is.
It is really.
It is.
Because I felt that, when I looked at the industry and I looked at my company, I said, there's only one person who I feel can head this company other than me. And if I'm doing a lot more work, then I need someone else to look after that.
And so the vision for AKP.
In fact, if Aparna had said no to me, then I would have
Retired.
I would have not retired. I would have done 1-2 films small, back to square one.
How
Because
wonderful
this
she
scale
said
I can't
yes.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do
I
scale.
can't do the scale.
Yeah.
And I need someone whose sensibility I trust.
Yeah.
And whose ethics and whose, integrity, her sensitivity of dealing with other people in the industry,
Yeah.
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 her straightforward approach to work. So I felt that that's very similar to mine, and that's why I felt if she's not there, then I wouldn't have gone this route.
So the
To be
vision
honest.
now for AKP with Aparna at the helm as CEO is that you will support new talent, you will put out new voices,
Sure.
and at a scale.
Sure. Well, plus, it depends on the material. Sometimes we might cast a star also.
Yeah.
But the idea really is to make more films so that we can put more talent out there. The kind of talent that we believe in.
And then there's Kindling,
Yep.
your company.
By the way, he was like, why is it not Kiran Rao Films?
Kiran Rao Productions.
Kiran Rao
Films.
Productions.
Kindling
I
is
was
such a lovely name,
It's such
Aamir.
It's a beautiful name.
Phir?
But don't get him started. Let's talk about Kindling positively before he bursts the bubble.
ये discussion से शायद Kindling थोड़ा popular हो जाए.
Yeah.
क्या
Because
है
it's like
आप
a
कोई भी
noun.
नाम रखो मैं बहुत सिंपल आदमी मेरा बहुत सिंपल लॉजिक है आपने कंपनी का नाम रखा है आप चाहते हैं कि लोग आपकी कंपनी को पहचाने यू वांट पीपल टू रिकॉग्नाइज योर कंपनी एंड इफ होपफुली योर कंपनी इज मेकिंग गुड फिल्म्स देन यू दैट इज व्हाट ब्रांड बिल्डिंग इज कि यार किंडलिंग की फिल्में मुझे मिस नहीं करनी चाहिए करेक्ट अभी किंडलिंग और किरण राव में क्या रिलेशनशिप है ये बहुत कम लोगों को पता है और उस चीज को एस्टैब्लिश करने के लिए आपकी जान निकल जाएगी Kiran Rao has started a company called Kindling. How do you market that?
By saying it on the Hollywood Reporter. Thank you, Papa.
हाँ,
You've given me all
नहीं,
the
नहीं,
publicity I need.
अभी ये तो हम लोग अंग्रेजी में बात कर रहे हैं, कितने लोग देखने वाले हैं ये? मैं फिर भी कभी-कभी हिंदी में निकल जाता हूँ. But I'm saying that my logic is simple. You're a known name. People know who you are in India. If you call your company by your name, then people will not have a confusion as to whose film are we going to watch. Is it someone who we are excited about? You know, it's
But-
like Aamir Khan Productions, you know.
For instance, who knows what Rohit Shetty's company is called? It might be called Rohit Shetty Films. I don't no
It
idea,
is.
but people go to see Rohit Shetty film. Same way.
His company is
Nobody
called-
cares.
I think Rohit Shetty films.
Rohit Shetty Films.
Nobody cares. Like I didn't know that. They like genuinely.
But tell me this.
Anyway,
Tell me, you know, and you said to me, which I love, that she wanted kind in the name. You know, which is why Kindling. How do you work together, right? And then still have two separate companies that are distinct in their sensibility, taste. How do they forge individual paths as well as you keep coming together? How does that
वो तो अभी पता लगेगा, अभी form किया Kindling.
well, Kindling we started a little while before we started work on Laapataa
Laapataa.
Ladies. The idea was that I wanted something fairly sort of almost handmade, like something
Boutique.
that was boutique in a way that we took on projects that it excited us, that we were interested to develop, might take a while to do. And we were interested to sort of let ideas of from different, you know, kinds of filmmaking have a place to grow here. Kindle these ideas, right? So, so we didn't have a plan beyond just working on Kindling, on Laapataa Ladies to begin with. But going forward, the idea is really once we have projects that are ready to be attached to a producer or financier, we will look around. And Aamir, of course, Aamir Khan Productions is one of our favorite people to work with. And we will come to Aamir Khan Productions or other producers to, you know, sort of see where the synergies lie, because I want to do a whole bunch of different kinds of work with different directors as well going forward. So we'll see. You know, the idea is that this chaya of Aamir Khan Productions, this comfort that we have, is what I genuinely appreciate and don't want to lose. And Aamir that way is a great sounding board for me. So all the projects that we have, I anyway bring around and sound him off. And he likes some of the ideas. We're happy to, you know, work with Aamir, Aparna, you know.
But there's no world in which, because he casts a very big shadow, right? Is there a world in which it can become overpowering?
I do feel also it's important for Kindling to branch out and work with other producers and other studios, because I feel it's important for us to test our wings. And honestly, I feel different kinds of energies yield, you know, fresh results. So I do want to try and work with other studios as well.
Plus, when you work with outside studios, you'll come to know our real value.
Dekho,
फिर आपको
this is
समझ में
what
आएगा।
You
I've
are
been told.
basically घर की मुर्गी यार.
Oh yeah. Nothing.
घर की मुर्गी मैं हूँ भाई।
Anything. So yeah. So this then, you know, you can have a producer who doesn't be like, I am the ghar ki murgi.
But you had told me, you know, the last time I interviewed the two of you was just before Dhobigha. And you had said to me that he's a dream producer.
He is. In that sense, actually, we have such a great comfort level working with Aamir and Aamir Khan Productions, because there's a great degree of trust. And there's like we said, similar sensibility. There's the freedom to be able to argue and fight for what we think is the right decision when it comes to very tricky things, whether it's casting or a location or an edit. So while Aamir will weigh in very strongly and have veto power on everything, he's still open to being persuaded, which we obviously value his judgment, you know, like artistic judgment on things. So it's a nice balance, you know. So Laapataa was great.
I don't
actually.
veto power मैंने आज तक use नहीं किया.
Use नहीं किया. But though he has it, which is the...
It's only, the reason I'd like to have the last say on anything creative in any of the films that we get involved is because I don't want something dramatically crazy to be happening. If that happens, I need to stop it. But otherwise, I would rather go with the instinct of the people who are making the film. You know, she's the one who's helming
Closest, yeah.
I have to also understand that sometimes if I don't agree with her, many times I go with what she's saying because I feel that she's a director, let her decide. I give her my inputs and then I let her decide. Very rarely do I say, yaar, ye mat karo. I don't think aisa hua hai.
No, yeah. So we do end up, you know, sort of convincing each other because it's a nice space for us to debate, argue. We test our films a lot at Aamir Khan Productions, which helps in a great deal. Because, you know, any kind of hypothesis you have, you test it out, you bring a group of people, see whether the cut is working, you know. So that comfort we have at AKP, but I still do want to, you know, I don't know, branch out, try new collaborations. Also, you know, the world has changed so much with OTT and the kinds of distribution that are possible, working overseas with international studios, that I want to try everything. And I feel Kindling is in a position where we have lots of very interesting ideas that could be great starting points for international collaborations as well.
Well, you know, Aamir, one of the things I really admire about you is your ability to publicly say when you went wrong. I think that's very rare. I mean, for you to apologize for Khambe Jaisi Khadi Hai, which you did in the 90s when truthfully none of us knew any better. Right?
All of us thought it was great.
All of us were singing and dancing to that song.
हाँ.
हमको क्या पता, हमें क्या गाना है, you
सब
know?
स्कूल के बच्चे कर रहे हैं. Khambe Jaisi. We have no idea what we are singing.
Exactly. You know, or I mean, more recently, I mean, for you to say that you pitched your performance in Lal Singh incorrectly, right? There's not many actors, leave alone superstars, who will go out there and say, okay, I messed up. Where do you get the courage to do that?
Actually, you don't need courage for that. Yeah.
You do, Aamir.
Obviously.
No. What is so brave in that?
Everything.
Arey, I'm just stating the obvious here. Or rather, what has occurred to me.
Yeah.
When a film goes wrong, you try and understand what went wrong. And when I sat down and thought about it, I felt that, see, Forrest Gump, as a as a piece of writing, it doesn't necessarily fall into the rules. It doesn't really follow the rules of mainstream.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a clear premise. Its premise is a question which it doesn't answer for you. The story moves episodically. You know, it's not streamlined in that sense. And your main plot gets over and the film continues for 15-20 minutes after that. The main plot being the fact that he wants to marry Jenny from the age of 8 or something. So finally, when Jenny and him get married,
It's done.
the main goal for the film setting is actually over.
Yeah.
But the film continues 15-20 minutes after that. These three things don't make it a mainstream kind of film. What worked, I feel, in the original is that Tom Hanks' performance was so beautiful. And you fell in love with that character so beautifully that then all of these things fell apart. It didn't matter. You were just going on that journey with him. And I felt that, so in this kind of a script, to make it mainstream, if you're not wanting to make it mainstream, then you're okay. But if you're wanting to make it mainstream, then the performance really has to be magical. It covers up for the fact that there is no real strong premise. It covers up for the fact that it's episodic. You know?
The plot is not that conventional plot.
All that, the performance, just sweeps off the table. Which I was not able to do, I feel. So that's why I felt that I have let the film down. Because otherwise I thought Advait made a decent film,
I think also in the writing, Lal Singh was far more in some way connecting, a history in a very more emotional way to this character's life. Whereas in Forrest Gump, it was a much more ephemeral, breezy kind of backdrop,
Sort
apart
of
from
touch
the
and
war.
go kind of.
Yeah, it was using fun moments from history, and reliving them. But here it was a little, it kind of was a little deeper and more emotional.
One aspect of it, the fact that he was a Sardar and the Sikh riots happened in Delhi. So that particular incident in history deeply connects with this character. You're saying that there's no such thing in Forrest Gump, which I agree with that.
But coming back to my question, how do you find the courage?
It doesn't take courage to me. It's not something I'm scared of.
It's just who you are.
It's who I am. I don't think it's a courageous act. If you ask me a question, I should answer honestly. If you ask me, why do you think the film didn't work? I'll say, I think I messed up. That's the truth.
But honestly,
I don't think it takes courage.
Been a quality with him is that whenever there has been, say, anything that he felt like we needed to deep dive and understand, he's very open to sort of looking at what went wrong in a very honest way and being quite transparent about it even publicly, which I think is unusual. Most
It's
people
unusual.
don't,
I
and
don't think it needs
most
courage.
people try to would offset the blame from themselves.
Yeah.
Like, when we do test screenings, people tell me you're very courageous to लोगों को film दिखा रहे हैं. You're showing the film and a lot of people don't like the first cut and you go through various stages.
Amir
So you need a lot of courage.
Amir asked
So people tell me that you're very courageous to have test screenings. I look at it, I feel the other way. I feel it's very courageous to release a film without test screenings. आपको बहुत हिम्मत चाहिए यार. You have to be really confident कि मेरी जो फिल्म है वो वैसी है, मैंने टेस्ट भी नहीं किया और सब लोगों को पसंद आएगी. मेरा वो कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है, तो मुझे डर लगता है. I'm scared of releasing it directly.
Yeah.
I would never do that to a film. I feel it's much more scary to do that.
Yeah.
This is, in fact, because I'm scared, I'm doing test screenings. It helps me correct the film here.
Yeah. But you also said, Aamir, which I loved, that after you guys split, you actually asked her for notes on how to be a better husband, and she gave you some 10, 12 points, which
11
include
points.
11 points, which include you talk too much.
She told me that when there's a gathering and people are home for dinner or anywhere we go out, you take over the conversation and suddenly it's you're telling all these stories and all
These
that.
are not things now publicly you're going to take out that whole
अभी वो
list.
सवाल पूछ रही मैं आंसर दे रहा हूँ.
अरे यार.
So I said that. So she said, you don't allow other people to talk. I didn't agree with
Case
her.
in point.
I didn't agree with her, but I wrote it down. I said,
You wrote these points
Yeah,
down?
yeah, it's
You
there.
wrote them or I wrote them for you?
No, I wrote
Oh,
them
you wrote them.
on my notes in my phone.
Good, I want to see what else
Yeah.
I wrote.
Yeah. No, I thought it'll be
this is
useful.
an exercise
What
all
these
husbands.
points I must see.
I've been working every day on them, bhai.
Acha.
Every day I'm working on them.
I think this is an exercise all husbands should do.
No?
हाँ.
Ex, present, current, forthcoming, all.
My husbands, even wives here. इसने मुझे नहीं पूछा, how can I be a better wife? आप कभी पूछो तो मैं बताता हूँ list.
Okay. Yeah.
Kiran, is it
Luckily
true?
now ex-wife, so don't need to. No.
Yeah, it's like, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Basically.
Is it true you're directing a horror film next?
No. Yeah, well, I'm trying very hard to.
I'm so
write
excited.
something supernatural. It's kind of a supernatural. I wouldn't say, yeah, it's a thriller, but a little more like a scary fairy tale.
That sounds
Yeah.
terrific.
Yeah.
I
very
can't wait to
excited.
see a Kiran Rao supernatural movie.
Yeah. I don't want to say too many things before we finish writing it. We have to write it
But
first.
I don't. You're playing with a number of projects, so whether this is going to be your next or
We don't
something
know.
else, we don't know. I mean,
That's
you also
true.
don't know.
So,
I
but
have
you're
a whole
writing
bunch.
more than one at
Yes.
a time? Wow.
Well,
She's
actually,
very
I've
talented.
been
यार उसके
written-
बहुत 7-8 ideas हैं उसके पास.
Yeah.
Really?
I've been writing for the last 10, 12 years. People ask where I've been, but that's all I've been doing, honestly, is developing projects to some degree. And now we've kind of found great writers to attach to some of them. So I have about 3 or 4 that we are developing, and we don't know which one we'll be able to get on the floor first up. But they're all quite varied in genre, and I really like the fact that so then when you go from one to the other, different parts of your head are being used, So yeah, lots
How
of fun
exciting.
things down the road for Kindling.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Aamir, I don't know if you've seen Pathaan, but at the end,
हाँ.
there's this
Yeah.
lovely-
Shah Rukh and Salman are sitting and saying कि who will take over next or
saying
something.
हमारी जगह कौन लेगा?
हमारी जगह कौन लेगा?
Okay,
अच्छा, हाँ.
and for about a few minutes the banter goes on.
And then they realize कोई नहीं ले सकता,
And
तो
then
हमको
at
ही
the
लेना
end,
पड़ेगा.
you know,
Yeah, I found the scene really funny.
it's very fun.
Yeah, I've not seen the film,
Huh.
but I've seen that scene because you know you get clips nowadays on Instagram and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I ended up seeing that scene. It's quite a funny scene.
It's a scene where finally Pathan says that
What does he
हमें
say?
ही करना पड़ेगा भाई, देश का सवाल है, बच्चों पे नहीं छोड़ सकते.
Oh God. Shah Rukh and Salman.
I just
I
thought
think
it was
all the young
funny.
actors must have got really upset. And you can't even get too upset with Shah Rukh and Salman. क्या कह सकते हैं?
They must have enjoyed it only.
But tell me this, Aamir, the three of you have really defined Hindi cinema for 3 decades, right?
हाँ.
Do you think at all about what happens in the next 10 years? Do you think at all about how the narrative changes and how the essence of stardom changes?
इतना सब नहीं सोचता हूँ मैं. I don't think of all these things really. What is your question again?
I mean,
Has
You know, first of all, I have to say that it's not just Salman, Shah Rukh and me who've lasted 35 years. There's Ajay Devgan, who's
Akshay.
Akshay.
and Mr. B, who's
Mr.
lasted
Bachchan.
it in
I mean,
into
there have been a lot of
eternity.
actors who've you know been along with us.
Yeah.
So it's inaccurate to say that only the three of us have gone 35 years. It's a number of us have done that.
But you three have sort of been the Trinity, right? You've been the North Stars. It's all been about the three Khans.
As it turned out, I think in retrospect we can say most of our films are successful or the big ones. Or,
Absolutely.
yeah, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
has the nature of stardom changed? Was her question.
Oh yeah. Well.
I mean, has in this new world where our,
I don't know
it's
how to
quite
answer
an
this question. I
interesting
mean,
thing
when
because
anyone figures out what stardom is or how it is achieved, then you tell me because I don't know. I have no idea.
'cause
Why
when,
have I become a star and not somebody else? I have no idea. And if you tell me to do it again, I won't know how to do it again. It's I don't know how to break it down. Well, with internet coming in and with social media becoming extremely part of our lives, I think that will affect stardom. Because earlier stars were people who you couldn't reach. But now they're kind of available quite easily.
Yeah.
So the bunch of us who became stars before social media and internet, coming in, will have a slight advantage. I feel. I mean, all of us will have a slight advantage because for a new person to come in as a star, ना, वो या तो फिर वो दूर रहे मतलब public से. I mean, that quality. I'm just answering the way best I can. I have no real answer.
the metric actually has just changed, I feel also slightly.
What do you mean?
In the sense that, when we cast Nitanshi, I had never heard of her, I had not seen her. She had done some work in television, but she had 2 million followers. Now has some 10 or 12. And I feel like now, because of this explosion of the kinds of entertainment that we have, your definition is of a star is what now?
Yeah.
The how do you define it by followers? Because certainly there are people genuinely whom we in our everyday, say, film lives have not heard of, who have hundreds of or whatever, several million followers, etc. So what are we actually saying? What are we?
So you have to define what you mean by stardom.
Stardom.
For
I
me,
feel like
stardom
it
means
it's something quite, in some way, indefinable about a person. There's an aura about a person. that-
Actually, for me, the yardstick I've normally used for stardom is real stardom. Is how many seats do you fill?
Correct. Bums on seats. Yeah.
If you're able to fill cinemas, then you're a star.
Okay.
Otherwise, I may love you, but I may not come and see your film. वो भी star है. मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ वो star नहीं है. People who cannot perhaps fill seats are also stars. But in my understanding, like as a producer, if I'm styling a star, then I expect him to fill seats. Otherwise, why am I taking him?
Yeah.
As a star. As an actor, I might need a person who's a certain personality. But if I'm looking for a star for a film, I'm making a big budget film, I need a star. I need someone who can fill seats. It doesn't matter to me how popular the person is otherwise.
Yeah.
You have to be able to fill seats. For a producer, that's the definition, I feel.
Yeah. And you're saying, Kiran, that is actually changing because of social. But the guys who are following on social are not necessarily filling seats.
Not necessarily filling seats.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say that, you know, when you think of how the cinema business has changed as well and who's going to fill seats aaj ke date mein, in large parts of India, I'm saying the South has got its own sort of, I don't know, whole thing going on. But, you know, often we don't think of women as stars because so-called, like, you know, female-oriented films don't fill seats.
Yeah.
And because most of the people buying tickets are men and women don't have the purchasing power to go and buy tickets. But I think as the business changes, like you see how well Crew did, or I think content is why people go to, you know, because they actually want to see something interesting is why they're filling seats.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know how much, you know, a star, I mean, you look at Stree 2,
Yeah.
and how many seats were filled? Are you talking about just the opening weekend?
Opening weekend, we have to talk about, because like for example, a film like Three Idiots. As a star, I can't take credit for the overall success of the film. That is the director, the producer, the writer, the entire crew has made a film that has connected with people.
Yeah.
I can take credit only for the first 3 days of bringing people in, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the opening that a star can be defined by the opening he is able to pull.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true.
That still holds.
That still holds.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, the film works. See, there are so many films which don't open well, but they do great business. The film has worked.
Yeah.
And the actor in it may or may not have filled the seats, but despite that, the film has worked.
Yeah.
So then it's the film, it's not necessarily the actor.
Yeah. And before we wrap, Aamir, what can you tell us about Sitaare Zameen Par?
Well, it's a beautiful story. Actually, the easiest way I can describe it is that it's Sitaare Zameen Par is a very emotional film that makes you cry. Sitaare Zameen Par makes you laugh. It's a humorous film. The theme is similar, of people with different abilities, different intelligences, or with different challenges. So the theme is similar, but the feel of the film, the emotional feel of the film is humor, as opposed to emotions. And in many ways, I feel it's way ahead of Sitaare Zameen Par, because in Sitaare Zameen Par, the person who was with the challenge in the film, that is Ishan, was helped by a character which is my character.
Yeah.
In Sitaare Zameen Par, it is the 10 people with challenges, they help me, the supposedly normal person.
Right.
So it's a real flip. Instead of me helping a person who's challenged, the challenged people help me. So it's goes much further, I feel, than Sitaare Zameen Par. It's a very beautiful story. I hope it turns out well, and I hope people like it.
Well, cannot wait to see it. And we're all rooting for you.
Yay! Thank you.
Go forth and conquer.
We'll do our best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hi, this is Aamir Khan.
Hi, this is Kiran Rao.
Please do subscribe to the Hollywood Reporter India.